Hello and welcome to Prime Debate. Today we discuss the issue of domestic violence and how women, despite increasingly becoming financially independent, still need protection. But the larger question is how strong non-bailable laws are either not considered at all or even misused. The question tonight we're going to ask is, do women need stricter protection laws, or is there more to the story? Let's just find out. Dealing with domestic violence in India hasn't been that easy. The experience of approaching the police and law courts has turned out to be a very disappointing one for most women. But at the same time, there too have been instances where the laws have been used as an instrument of blackmail. Prior to 1983, there were no specific provisions to deal with marital abuse and violence. But husbands could be prosecuted and punished under the general provisions of the Indian Penal Code, dealing with murder, abetment to suicide, causing hurt and wrongful confinement. Since marital violence mostly took place in the privacy of the home, behind closed doors, a woman could not call upon any independent witnesses to testify in her favor and prove her case, beyond reasonable doubt, as was required under criminal law. In 1983, Section 498A of the IPC defined a new cognizable offence, namely cruelty by husbands or relatives of husband. This means that under this law, the police have no option but to take action once such a complaint is registered by the victim or any of her relatives. During the same period, two amendments to the Dowry Prohibition Act of 1961, enacted in 1984 and 1986, made dowry giving and receiving a cognizable offence. Even in this case, where a person is prosecuted for taking or abetting dowry or for demanding dowry, the burden of proof that he had not committed an offence was placed on the accused. Furthermore, another section, 304B, was added to the IPC to deal with yet another category of crime called dowry death. By inserting a new section, 113B, in the Indian Evidence Act, the lawmakers stipulated that in cases that get registered by the police as those of dowry death, the court shall presume that the accused is guilty unless he can prove otherwise. Sadly, there are also any number of cases coming to light where Section 498A has been used mainly as an instrument of blackmail. It lends itself to easy misuse as a tool for wreaking vengeance on entire families because under this section it is available to the police to arrest anyone a married woman names as tormentor in her complaint as cruelty in marriage has been made a non-bailable offence. Thereafter, bail in such cases has been denied as a basic right. And to discuss this issue, we have in our studios Jagdeep Bains, Punjab and Haryana High Court lawyer; Bhupinder Singh, he is the former DGP, West Bengal; Vandana Shukla, she is a journalist with the Tribune; and Tajinder Singh from Save the Indian Family Association. Well, thank you all for being with us this evening. Jagdeep, if I begin with you, yes, the Dowry Act came in 1961 or 63, the year, and it has seen many amendments. You know, in 1983 you had, and then in 1986, and then you were even speaking of the one latest in 2005-6. Right? So have they made a difference?
Here I would like to begin that why we have a Dowry Prohibition Act in this country. There is a system or a practice of dowry in countries of Southeast Asia, whether it's India, Pakistan, Bangladesh. Now coming to our own country, the system of dowry existed so that a daughter could be given her share, because daughters did not inherit the property of their parents as it was so. 60 years later, more than 60 years later, daughters are inheriting an equal share. Sometimes they are inheriting the entire share of the parents. So do we really need to give dowry any longer? Firstly, our society has to wake up to this. My next issue on this aspect is that there have been amendments because the figures of bride burning in less than not 7 years, within 6 months of marriage, are startling. And obviously there is a reason to it. A law has been made because the requirement arose.
You're right.
Now, how the law is being used, it can be used fairly, it can be misused. Any law can be used fairly, any law can be misused. That's the thing. Yes, certainly 498A, the need arose in 1983. It was inserted in the Indian Penal Code. Yes, the demand of dowry is there till date. People do demand. But then under the Dowry Prohibition Act, the giver and taker both are punishable. But what happens is only the person who has taken the dowry is being punished.
Right.
When the person gave the dowry, why are they not being punished? When the demand was raised, why did they not raise the legal, take the necessary legal action at that time? And why are they crying out hoarse later? So either the entire act should be actually implemented fairly.
Right.
Why only the people who have received it should be punished?
That's a fair point. But Mr. Bhupinder Singh, in your experience, how many cases have you dealt with where there have been increasing number of cases with dowry related problems from the women's side?
You see, we have to first look at the segment of society or the strata of society which is taking recourse to this. How many people from across the society?
Has it been on the rise?
So
has it come down?
essentially it is people from the lower middle classes or the middle class who are now taking recourse to this section. And I have during my experience in Bengal found that very few women, affected women from the lowest rungs of society, and which may comprise of maybe 60 to 70% of the total population, have got recourse to this law, either by virtue of being sufficiently empowered or being sufficiently literate or having the facilities available to them in their villages by which they can approach the police or the court.
Right.
But having said that, what we have also noticed, again in the context of West Bengal, and I think that's also true for across the country, is that the number of such cases is on the increase. And very often we were asked questions that how is this happening? And there were three reasons. Number one was basically the empowerment of women. Number two, they being more socially aware of their legal rights.
Right.
And number three, a whole lot of NGOs and other such organizations are today available who want to facilitate this process.
You know, because it's deterring for anybody to go up to the police. I mean, it's an extreme situation you are in, that you'll go and ask for help. It's not that something you'll just, you know.
Yes, but over a period of time we have found that this is sort of no more applicable. People are not scared of going up to the police and start a case. There could be a lot of social stigma attached to such an action earlier. But I think people feel, or at least the women feel free now to do that. And to enable them to do that, there are a lot of other Mahila Samitis and other such organizations who, when they sense that well, there is trouble brewing in a particular household, they also take a very proactive course to intervene in certain domestic situations and tell the woman in question that, look, what's your problem? Why don't you, the law is there, why don't you go to the police and we'll help you get on with it. So this is what we have been now seeing.
Right. Vandana, in you've written an article also on in favoring the men, in fact, because you've said that you've come across a lot of cases where you feel the men have not got a fair share. In fact, they've got the raw deal, they've just gone straight. What do you feel? Do you still feel that yes, we need to relook at this law, at this particular amendment?
Yeah, what actually happens, a society like ours, which is in transition, women, when this law was framed in 86, 498A, to now, I mean, in last 2 decades, women have come out in open. They are far more empowered. They are far more aware of what is happening. And in a capitalist society, in a consumerist society, if greed is growing among grooms, greed is also growing among women. So there is a fair chance that a girl who finds a shortcut through marriage to climb the ladder, to climb the social ladder, this is what I understood when I did a lot of stories covering the abuse of this particular section. I also came across lawyers, and there were certain lawyers who said that yes, it works like an excess. You know, a lawyer suggests the bride's family that if you book the entire family, if you name more people, the sister-in-law, the sister-in-law's husband, and even sometimes teenagers are named in these files. So what happens is this woman, I mean, under the law, the first thing is that the police would go and arrest the guy and the parents or whosoever is mentioned in the FIR. Now, the other side is that these women, these 60-year-olds, 70-year-olds, they say that when the law can listen to a 25-year-old woman, why can't the law listen to us as well? We do not have a criminal record. The same goes for the grooms. I came across some smart young career men whose careers were ruined just because you know, there was this section which sent them behind bars, and I came across this guy because the courts were closed, so he was living with criminals for 3 months by the time his bail was granted. So yes, women do need protection. That's fair enough.
That's fair enough.
Yeah, because we have this social background. But unlike abroad, you know, where if you have a problem in your marriage, you go to counselors. I wonder why can't we have a system of counselors rather than having a criminal law which further, and marriage is not really, it's a social bonding. So once you bring in a criminal law, it just breaks, then there is no possibility of coming back again.
You know, it's very interesting because I would like to bring Jagdeep at the moment, but you know, we're going to go in for a break. Just before that, let me get Tajinder. Tajinder, give us your story, because you've been a victim to this, where your in-laws or your wife's family has put you through a rough time.
Yeah, and that's right. Like once a complaint goes to a police station, what happened, the police came to us and called my whole family. Like my sister, married sister, my buaji and tayaji.
And they had nothing to do with it.
They had nothing to do with, they are living their own homes and how they are tortured that girl. And main thing behind that is money. They need money for their self and for their parents.
But there must have been certain dispute that happened. That
only the ego clash. You are not doing that. Only a ego clash. Just to satisfy their ego, they go to the police. And
how long were you married when this happened?
I married in 2007.
And then you got into...
and after 1 year, I got into this. The main thing behind me, like I am a guy in IT. So I mostly going to abroad, but the girl family wants to settle their girl in abroad, but I don't want to live there. Because I have some bounding at here, so I want to live.
So clearly dispute in ideas where you wanted to come back.
It's only the dispute, like she just want to settle in abroad. That's the dispute behind that.
So is your case over, or you still fighting?
Yeah, my case is over.
Okay, but it was a long time, it took you...
It's a long time.
How many years did it take you?
Like it's 2 years. And I just now facing a maintenance case on me. It's only a maintenance case, which decision is still pending in the court.
Okay, so it's all through you felt harassed, and your whole family went through that ordeal. Well, anyway, we're going to get back to our debate, but it's time for us to take a short break. But we're going to continue discussing when we return. Welcome back. We are discussing domestic violence and the misuse of laws related to it. Well, Jagdeep, we had a very interesting round from Vandana, and she had told us that it is a social problem and we do not need a criminal law for it. Do you